Hey guys, thanks for coming back to part 2 of my SVU disassembly. Sorry I did it in 2 parts, just like at the moment YouTube only allows you to, it's not allowing me to upload a huge length video, so I'm going to split it down. So you saw in part 1, took apart the front end, now we're on the rear end. What I've got here, I'll show you what I did just to reroute the wire into the grip. It was really easy. If you can see just in there, so I drilled a hole through the plate, drilled a hole through the bottom of the grip, and I just ran my wire underneath where it comes out and then straight down into the grip. It's as simple as that. Right, so with the grip, you undo these 2 screws. I left my battery in there because I was testing it, but just disconnect my battery. Yep, and then there's 2 Phillips head screws at the bottom. The grip, which you don't need to really take them off, I'm just thinking. But you will need to remove the FCU, because then that wire can just pull straight up through. So I'm just going to push my wire back through so I can get out this way. Is coming. Just hooks out, there we go. So got the wire come through. If you do that first before you take the rest of it off, if you try and forget about it and you take the rest apart, you risk ripping your wires. Alright, next I remove the grip, so the motor housing, or the stock. So just Allen key screw at the back. That one. Get a line through. Alright, the other modification you have to do when you're mounting your FCU is drill a hole through the bottom of the mirror cage just to allow your airline to go through. I made it a little bit wider just so it's got a bit of room to play with. I might actually put some heat shrink around, a bit more heat shrink on that at some point. Don't have to, but that's just what I want to do. Right, then you want to remove these 2. So to remove it, you just lift that one up to that position. And same with this one. Put that up to there. It will come on. There we go. So look at the semi-auto, just filed out just a little nub in there, just enough that there's a pin that sticks out. That is your fire selector. So if you file that out a little bit, it'll not hit it and go into full auto. But if you don't want to do it, then just leave it. So next, pop this pin out. Yeah, it just wasn't moving. mount when you want it to. Ah, there we go. Just got stuck. Sorry, before you remove that, that sits in there. Like that. Put it down, arch it out, and then you can remove that pin. So that's that. Move that across there. All right. So with this, there's an Allen key. Sorry, a Phillips screw just there, and it holds this. The gearbox. As I said in my other video, with the Wolverine hydras and the SVUs, the alignment isn't always perfect with the nozzle nut. So if your nozzle's sitting too low and you need to raise your gearbox up, what you would do, when you install the gearbox, you would put a shim underneath where it matches up with that plate, and then you would screw it in. That just gives it that little bit of height, so it doesn't sit all the way down against the metal, and it will adjust your nozzle alignment upwards. That's just a little thing to know, but luckily I didn't have to do any of that. I know there's a lot of mixed reviews whether or not you have to do it all the time or not. Alright, next thing you do is remove your motor cage. One, two. Pivot that off. Just watch out for your airline. Airline straight out. And then undo that screw. The other thing you got to do before you do that, now you got to disconnect the trigger linkage. So from the back here, there's a rod that goes up to there. As I was saying, what I am going to do is see about getting something 3D printed to hold a micro switch trigger up here, and I'll just run wire from that into I'll run the universal wire kit from the SVU to that micro switch, just so that my trigger can just be like a hair trigger at the moment, and then you've got that long pull before it makes contact with the trigger mechanism at the back. So that's another thing that I will do. To disconnect the trigger linkage, just push the gearbox up a little bit and just pry it out like that, and your gearbox comes straight out. When you're putting it, just be mindful of your wires at the front, and pull that out. Your trigger arm will come out sometimes, so you know which way it goes back in. It always goes along the right hand side of the rifle, with the one with the notch at the front and the hole at the back to go into there. But I just want to put that out. Took me a bit of time to figure that one out. Seems pretty self-explanatory, and so you go try and put it all back together. Okay. So as you can see, my hydras installed just like that. Wires are self-contained. Pinch this heat shrink a little bit, I'll fix that. So what you would do, you remove all the old wiring that comes from the gun, and I just ran my harness out through the side, and I tuck it into the side of the gearbox there, and then run it out as if it's normal electronics. Right, so to get into here, so you're going to need a screwdriver. So you want to remove these 3 screws. One. When they were making this, they didn't want the easy disassembly, clearly, but it's not as bad as the Ares to War. Good gun, just a nightmare to get into and out of and work on. So once you've got them out, this bit here just sits on top. You want to remove, you can leave that one in actually, sorry. Then you want to remove this spring. I kind of leave that on there. And this side, we'll remove that one, and this one, and then that one there. 1, 2. Make it easier, I separate sides, so one side this side, so you don't get mixed up and you're not there forever trying to figure out which side's which. Just so you see how they mesh up. So that one, the top one, wants to mesh in with the bottom one there, and the top one wants to be able to mesh it in with there. Okay. We'll continue to undo this side. So remove that one, that comes off like a piece like that. Then if you remove this one, sorry, go back to this side, sorry, I forgot this one. Undo that one. Now from this side. So that spring just come off of there, just be mindful of that. This sat in here like this, just through there, and that with the outscrew on the other side. But that there, shipping is there. That there allows your assembly on full well. So that goes to this side, and then you can leave that bottom one in because that just holds your trigger in. And then with this, you just want to put it down. Down and forward, and there goes shimmies out. Alright, now you've got all the stuff off this side of the gearbox and this side. You can open up the rest of the gearbox. You doing this yourself, this isn't on me. If you're unsure about doing it, don't get someone professionally to do it, because yeah, I don't want you to break your gun and then blame me. So then you want to do that one, that one, that one, there, and it was front. There was one more in there, but I lost the screw, but it doesn't really matter for this build. Once they're all undone, you have the top plate like you do on like a normal AK. That's on there really good. I do have a hammer, but just on my toolbox. I don't need nuts, so slide that straight off. Always check you've removed everything you need to, and then just go ahead and pull the gearbox apart. It's not the neatest in here, but it does. Thing to point out, there's a nut that sits in there. It is just a free sitting nut, so when you move it around, just make sure you don't lose it, because that's the one that secures the gearbox to the bottom of the lower receiver. So it's important to remember that. Alright, so I'll bring this in closer. Right, so as you can see, I've got my Wolverine hydra. Just put that away a minute, so just fold that over. I've got the universal wiring kit. I've got a sensor for the micro switch, that's for your semi and full auto. So with this, I'll move this out of the way as much as I can. The kit does come with a little drill bit, this screw, and this mechanism here. So what you want it to do, you want it to get to the point where it just kicks in on the your fire select your cutoff lever. Yeah, your cutoff lever, because when you engage and disengage your full auto and semi auto, that's what triggers it and send it to the universal wiring kit. So you want to hold this down in place where that is just resting on there, to the point where a little bit, like if you move that off, it'll release it. So that'll be full auto, that'll be semi. So I've got it always sat in semi. If my fire select didn't have that mod, then when I move it, it'll go like that, and then that sends a signal and allow it to go full auto. But you don't need it. So you hold it in place, mark where you want it, and you drill into your gearbox, and then you just screw that in. It just bites itself a thread into the gearbox. So the drills, yeah. You got your universal wiring kit. So you have one of those sensors go into there, and then the other one, all you do is just wire it to your normal trigger contact. So I went out through there and back around the front, along with the harness. I sent back through the front as well. Then it's just a case of putting it all into place without crimping anything. Said I probably could go in and do a bit of a cleaner job at tidying all this up, but don't need to. So that just sits in there. That just lays in, and then you just make sure that runs out like that. I believe, well then, if you want to put that together, all you do is repeat the process. If you followed the video along, you would know where all the screws go. I tried showing it as much as I can. It usually does take a lot longer to put it back together than it does to take it apart, just because there's so many screws. So if you're going to do this, your own risk, just take your time with it. Don't rush it. Just set yourself enough time to do it. I hope that's everything covered. Just looking around, is there anything else? No, I think that is everything covered. So that's how you install the Wolverine Hydra into the Cyma SVU. Again, use the SVD nozzle setup with the universal wiring kit, and it fits perfectly. The only modifications you do, put a screw in there, change the wires, and drill a hole through the bottom of your mirror grip and the pistol grip. The other options you can do as an extra is like what I've done, is wire your battery into the grip. Just makes it so much easier for battery change. You just undo the screw, put a new battery in, away you go. As you can see, I had all those other rails on. If I was going to take the top rail off every time, it would take a lot longer, and there isn't much battery space under that rail. Right, thank you.